Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
We shall do that. It is Coffee Ann here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us Thursday morning. It's April 18th. I'm Joe Callahan around the Coffee Ann table. The usual Thursday crew is here. Good morning to you there, Bob Lauder.
Good morning. Good to be with
Wait a minute. Can't hear Bob. Wait a minute. Try it again.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
There you are. Nice to have you here with us. And Sue Tessier McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-In-Times. Hi,
Good
Sue.
morning. Good morning.
Nice to have you here as well. Well, as we jump into things, Bob being the lawyer and all, are you just fascinated with the Trump trial down there in New York City? The whole we're bringing in a gazillion jurors to try to get 18, 12, and then 6 alternates. They've got 7 so far.
It's the news commentaries seem to be a little bit different from what my experience has been in never having a jury trial. I've never had a jury trial in criminal court. I've done jury trials in civil court.
Okay.
And in this case, when they were talking about half of the juror pool that came in, the first 90 or something, raising their hand and saying that they could not be impartial, yeah, that may be true, but I think some of those people are also looking at the fact of what kind of a impact is this going to have on their lives. If the trial really takes 6 to 8 weeks and they're employed and their employer doesn't cover their salary during that time.
Don't they have to?
I don't believe so.
Wow.
And they're getting the statutory
$15
or something a day. That's going to be a significant impact on their lives.
Yeah.
And so I can see a number of jurors saying, I don't want to have this impact. I'm going to say I can't be impartial and get out of this situation entirely. Others of them may be looking at the fact that after the trial is over, there's probably going to be some kind of impact on their personal lives because their identities will be revealed, and people who are dissatisfied with whatever the verdict is are going to be making that dissatisfaction known to the former jurors, and they don't want to go through that particular process either. So I can see a number of people saying, no, I don't want to be on the jury right from the very start.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of whether or not there's prejudice for or against the former president so much as I want to get out of here.
All right. You following it, Sue?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I fully agree, with everything Bob just said. If in fact I know in the state of Rhode Island, because you never know what different states do, but in the state of Rhode Island, when I was called for jury duty, it was after COVID, therefore after my, becoming my husband's caregiver, and the HR department had to write a letter saying, due to financial hardships and the fact that I'm a caregiver, I could not
serve
on jury duty.
Wow.
So that's always an option for people, but it has to be legit.
Right.
It has to be legit.
So, Bob, you never, in your years as a lawyer, you never had to be in there and pick a jury?
I picked a jury in civil cases a number of times, but
So
never in a criminal case.
Okay. But the same thing, do you still go and ask questions?
Oh, yes,
and
definitely.
things like that? And,
Yes.
And did you say, okay, no on this person, yes on this person?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I've had several weird situations. I had one where when they were bringing in the initial panel of jurors and you start asking them questions, there was a person that I recognized as being a opposing party in a case that I'd handled several years before. And when I was saying to this person, you and I know each other, and the person said, "You're damn right you know each other."
Wow. You're out.
Yes, that was a
Right away.
removal.
There was a
for
clear
cause.
indication that you need to go.
Wow. Especially with such venom in his
Well, we had been successful in the case that she was
and not happy.
a opposing party in. She wasn't the
Wow.
only opposing party.
Yeah.
It was a case with multiple people, but she was not happy with the results.
So I guess not. So you can't in down in New York you can't ask the questions like when I've been asked when being on jury duty. They always ask, do you know the defendant or the plaintiff? Well,
Right.
obviously everybody knows the president or the former
Right.
president of the United States, so you can't really ask that question.
No, but there was a list of the 40 or thereabouts questions that the judge had proposed to the jurors beforehand. And when I was reading through them, most of them seemed like the kind of questions that would normally come up in any kind of voir dire. It's whether or not you are employed by law enforcement. Do you have any people who in your family who are involved in law enforcement? Whether or not you've ever been a party to litigation and stuff like that. And those are
okay.
pretty normal kinds of questions that would be asked in any civil case and probably in any criminal case as well. Yeah.
Would that be on the other side because of the nature of Stormy Daniels' work? Would they ask anyone on the jury if they're in the adult film industry?
I think you could certainly do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if, in this case, the fact that Stormy Daniels and her past occupation are going to be a factor in the case, but they're not the principal part of the case.
Well, right.
It's not whether or not he made any payments to Miss Daniels. It's whether or not those payments were incorrectly and deliberately miscalculated in what the records were that were filed with the election commissions and things like that.
All right. Is it legal for the lawyers to ask the potential jurors down there if they voted for Trump?
I think the judge had said that that was not something that they could ask.
Okay.
So that's completely confidential. If you have
Well, I
someone
thought
who voted
so, yeah.
for or against the president
Yeah.
in prior elections, no, you don't get to ask that. One of the things that has surprised me, though, because my time in doing civil cases before juries goes back to the early 2000s at the very latest, was that back when I was doing it, you didn't have access to YouTube or any kind of postings on computer networks. And here they do. They're going back on each of the jurors to see whether or not any of their prior communications with the outside world have any definite reference to a prejudice for or against the president.
Well, that could
so-
take a long time to do all that
I imagine
research.
they have lots of detectives working on that. In the old days, what we would get was we'd go into the courtroom and they'd hand us a sheet that would say, okay, Joe Callahan, here's his address. It might have your occupation, but didn't frequently do that. And you were left with that much information.
Yeah,
Now,
that's it.
That's not a whole lot to start off with, and that's why your voir dire went on for a little bit longer than it probably does now.
How long do you think it's going to take, Bob? They've got seven. They got 7 jurors now. They want to get 12, and they want to have 6 alternates. How much longer is it going to take to sit these next few people?
They've done a whole lot in the first 2 days, and they didn't work on Wednesday because the judge takes other cases on Wednesday. I would expect that they'll get their jury seated by the end of next week. Yes.
Okay, and then the trial's supposed to last 6 to 8 weeks, like you said, huh?
That's what the newspapers are saying.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a long trial.
It is a long trial.
Well, I hope the jurors don't get too bored listening to all this, financial stuff. It could, these glazed eyes over, saying, oh.
They're going to have to throw a little sexual stuff in between to get their attention.
Let's watch Stormy in action. Here we go. All right, now
That's
I'm
a
more
good strategy.
awake.
I like that.
Jesus, that's a great idea. So not only are we sitting the jury in New York City, we got the jury. They got the trial in Massachusetts. That's gaining quite a bit of a flash. The Karen Reed murder
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
thing. Now they're trying to seat a jury as well. So far they've got 11,
Okay.
and they want 4 jurors were selected on the first day. 7 more seated yesterday, and they want 16 regular and alternate jurors seated. So I don't know 14.
16 regular? That's unusual.
That's what it says, and so I don't know if they're going with 12 and 4 alternates, or
I would think
or
that
14
yes.
and 2 alternates.
No,
I'm
they're
not sure.
probably doing 12 and 4 alternates.
Okay, but the whole now I don't think I could be on that case because I live in the same town. Is that an automatic rejection? Now I don't know her, but if you were the lawyers and I was one of the jurors, you have my name and address. I live in the same town as her.
I would think a lot of it's going to depend on if you had knowledge of the area in which the alleged crime took place. I remember years and years ago, back in the 1980s, my dad was called for a jury duty down in Providence in Superior Court, and it was a criminal case. And part of the voir dire was, your knowledge of a particular area. Well, the area in which the alleged crime took place happened to be across the street from where my dad used to go and get his haircut. And he was eliminated from the jury because they were afraid that even though they had testimony about a particular area where the crime took place, my dad might have some independent recollection which was either right or wrong about it and could come in and influence what his position would be on the jury. And they were saying, no, because you walked through this parking lot every 6 weeks to get your haircut, you might think that something that is testified to may be right or may be wrong, and it has
Just on your observations.
yeah, on your
huh?
observations,
Wow.
and it's not part of the testimony in the trial, and therefore we don't want you on the jury because you could bring something in like that. And he was eliminated from the jury, which made sense to me at the time.
Okay, where the Boston police officer was killed, I don't know the exact location in Canton, but
right.
I'm aware of the town. I've driven through the town. I've gone to businesses in the town. I know where the high school is.
I think we'd have to be much more specific
more
to that
specific,
particular
okay.
case.
Oh, okay. I thought just because I lived in the same town as
Well, I would think the
as
hearsay
her.
factor in the town.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to the grocery store, you're going
Yeah.
to the hairdresser, and you know that.
What's the
I would think
scuttlebutt
would- right?
around town?
I would think that would have played a factor.
It might. Okay. I think the whole this whole trial is fascinating because they're so divergent on what they're saying happened. And the prosecutors say she hit him with the car, and she's saying, no, I dropped him off. He got beat up and left outside. And it's like, who's telling the truth
Well, won't
on this one? This one's fascinating.
I would think that if you're hit by a car, there is some. I mean, that's what.
Well, that's their case. His bruising does not reflect being hit by a car. At least that's what the
Really?
defense is saying. Yes.
Well, what about the forensics?
Well, I think the ME is saying that it is conclusive to that.
Well,
so,
I'm thinking if you
I
get
don't
hit
know.
by a grill or you
Mhm.
get beat up, I mean, just look at my hand. That's two different.
well, right, yeah, I know,
You know what I mean?
but
So if
according
the forensics is saying, you know, they're going to have to prove the case based
Yeah.
on that's a big part of the trial.
Of course, cars are so different now because when you were making those gestures, I was thinking, you know, if you're hit by a 52 Buick that happens to have one of those huge hood ornaments on it,
Right.
that could go into the fist
Oh
punching.
yeah.
So the prosecutors say Reed struck and killed her boyfriend O'Keefe with her SUV in Canton, January of 2022. Her attorneys say nope, O'Keefe was killed by others, and that Reed is being framed. So this is going to make a great movie
Right.
when it's done. Back to something you said before about the jurors and the after effects. I don't think the jurors' names and identities should be released to the press after a big trial, like the Trump one.
Right.
If they want to come forward, well, that's different.
Yeah, if they want to do
But
their
they should be-
interviews.
yeah.
But no, I don't think
But
so.
jurors should be left alone by the media. That should be like a rule.
That well,
A law,
I don't
not
think
a
that's.
rule,
I know.
I don't think it's a law at all.
Well, I don't think
I'm
so it
sure
is.
that the judge at the end of the trial will tell the jurors, you don't have to say anything to anybody who's questioning you.
Right.
But the jurors, if I recall reading about it, had made in this case some statements that will lead anyone who's investigating to be able to try and track them down. Several of them said where they were employed. Well, if you're saying you're employed by a large company, you're not necessarily going to be tracked down that easily. But if you're saying I'm employed by WOON, then if after the trial is over, someone comes
Easily
and knocks on
found.
the door and says, you know, are you here, or who works here, and then narrow it down that way. So
All right. Well, things keep moving on.
it's going to be interesting.
It sure will be. So, and of course, Trump is saying, you're keeping me off the campaign trail, kind of thing. Did the judge rule on whether or not he can go to his son's graduation yet? Has that
I don't
been
think he's
determined?
ruled on that, but his son's graduation, I think, comes up sometime toward the middle of May.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's not something that's immediately going to happen right now. The trial could be over by the middle of May.
Possibly.
Who knows?
Okay.
Of course,
well-
I could be the snarky person who says, I'd ask him, which son are you talking about? And see if he can remember Barron's name.
Right.
he's
but
only
that-
got he's only got one in high school right now. So.
That was a snarky comment that's unworthy of at least one of us.
I always told my daughter that because my daughter's a senior in high school. Barron's, he's your age,
Oh, Jesus.
I said you might want to, send him an email. Let's say hi. Wouldn't mind
Right.
getting part of that little Trump fortune.
Call me if you
I said
need. Call me if you need a shoulder.
That's right. That's right. And the marriage can be at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
I'll fly down there.
Yep.
All right.
Of course, it will be
How
paid
much
in
do you
full.
love your daughter?
Well, quite a bit.
Okay.
I got to weigh that against the money from Trump.
Okay, good.
All right. More coffee ads coming your way. Please stay tuned.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first, and he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee and on ONAM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callan here, along with Bob Lauder and Sue Tesser-McKenzie. And Sue, time for your first message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times.
Good morning, everyone. So things have settled in quite well at the new office. We still have people heading down to our old office. We are now at 154 Main Street, and people have been stopping in, doing their, the obituaries and the memoriams and picking up, past editions of the paper. So it's quite nice having walk-in traffic again. But if you need anything and the office is not open, like it won't be this afternoon, simply because, days off and such. I work on the road, so I won't be there. But by all means, give me a call at 401-487-4136. If you are missing your edition, your daily paper delivery, call 767-8522. And just follow the prompts for that. It will say Westerly because we have more than one office. Again, anything you need, call me, 487-4136.
Very good, Sue. We have a note that was called in, 766-1240, and it's just on a different subject, the Middle East. When is the world going to realize that this never-ending chaos is and will always be in such chaos? This has been going on for, forever. There's no government, no diplomacy, and never will be. Their different beliefs in religion will agonize and come between them for the rest of mankind. They are destined to destroy themselves. However, we, meaning the U.S., are sticking our heads into matters costing money that are needed elsewhere and risking lives. Face it, there will never be a resolution. Hope is the only thing we can cling to. And when I think about it, I kind of agree with it because I can remember, being 4, 5, 6 years old. There was trouble in the Middle East then. And asked my parents, and they said, yeah, it's never going to end. Right. And they said it then. This was the early 70s. This is 50 years ago. And it was happening well before then, and it just keeps going on now. So, yeah, this group hates this group. They will always hate this group. Nothing you say will make them not hate each other.
We'll never change that.
That's it. We're done.
But at the same time, I think a responsible government here is saying we're going to try and prevent harm to a lot of the civilian populations on the Israeli side, on the Palestinian side, and try and get them to at least put down their arms. They may still hate each other, but instead of shooting at each other, maybe they can try and limit their vituperation to just shouting and being unpleasant that way. And maybe it can slow down. It's not a easy situation for our government to be faced with.
No. My brother told me the story because he had a business partner that was Syrian and Muslim, and grew up. We hate Jewish people. We just do. And the first time he actually encountered a Jewish person was at the top of the Eiffel Tower because they were wearing their
Right.
yarmulkes and like that. And he was scared. He didn't know what to do. He thought they were going to attack him. And he's like, well, should I attack them first? Like this? And nothing came of it. They
Well,
just bypassed each other and, okay, that was it.
When you're brought up with a deep-seated hatred and a
Yeah.
fear of other people, I think that's a pretty natural reaction. And it's unfortunate, and have to try and learn to do better.
Right. Okay. Other things that are going on. There was a story on Channel 10's website. We had a child fall out of a window here in the city of Woonsocket. They did not give the address of where this took place.
When was that one? I didn't
Yesterday.
see that one.
Happened on Wednesday. They said it fell out of a first floor window. Child's okay, minor injuries. They found him in between. They said on the concrete between two homes in a passageway. They brought him to Landmark Medical Center, had minor injuries, and everything's okay. But case remains under investigation because you just got to find out why did the child fall out a window.
How old was the child?
1 year old.
Wow.
So
Well, if the child is crawling age and able to move around on its own, and windows are open because of the weather, and screens don't hold the weight of I don't know how much a child weighs, but 15,
at
20
one,
pounds.
Yeah.
And
That's good enough weight.
pushing against
Push
it,
against
that
it.
can certainly knock a screen out, and the little guy fall out the window. I'm glad they're investigating, but I'm not sure that there's going to be parental negligence on that part.
Probably not. And I remember, when my kids were being born, and they always told the moms, you sleep when the baby sleeps. So maybe the baby was maybe the 1 year old was down for a nap, so the mom decides to take a
No,
snooze.
I was told the same thing. I never, ever, may I repeat,
Never
ever
took a nap when
took
the
a
baby.
nap with my, no, that
okay.
was when I got stuff done.
Well, that's true.
I could, no, I never, and I have two children, 30 and 35, and I never napped when they did. I think nor would they ever have a chance of falling out the window in my, under my guidance, we'll
Okay.
say. I live on third floor. My windows, you want to talk crawling to the window? You know where my windows are?
Down below. No, yeah.
That's my windows.
Oh,
So now
Down
with my
low.
grandkids, they're all, you don't do this, you don't do that. We lock them up. Doesn't matter if it's a beautiful spring day. We lock those windows
Oh, yeah.
when the kids are there. But it's all about not just don't do this, don't do that, but why? Because the children are learning. If you say don't do that, how many people want to go do that? So
Well, right.
it's life lessons. You have to. Never had a problem.
and one of the life lessons I was thinking about this
Yeah.
week was I went to a book sale, and when I was looking at the volumes there, I was comparing the educational opportunities with my physical reaction opportunities, because there was a biography of Elizabeth Warren, and I was figuring I could bring that into you, and you'd be able to, enjoy this and be educated on the subject. But then I was afraid that in your euphoria of getting this kind of a gift, I might have to duck real fast, and I'm not sure that I could have done that. So,
As I throw it back to you.
right?
I was thinking more
like
of
a
a fling.
like a
back.
frisbee.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more of a football pass.
Oh, well, okay.
Nah, because the book would open. I say that, like a frisbee.
Like a
Okay,
frisbee.
frisbee.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I say frisbee.
Bigger impact with a frisbee than a.
I didn't.
over-
I didn't realize she has written a book. She's probably written many, for all I know. So I don't know.
I'll never know. I left it there.
I'll put it in my. Keep this in the back of your mind. I never want a book by Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just hold.
Not
hold
Christmas,
that back.
birthday, nothing like that.
But I also had an opportunity this
Not
week,
even a joke.
Not even as a joke.
unfortunately, to once again exhibit my lack of some type of knowledge, because I was talking to a client and they had brought their son in who was on a basketball team, and I'm trying to make small talk, and I'm saying to him, "What position do you play?"
All right.
And the
he
dad
said,
says, "There are no positions in basketball."
"Yes, there are.
There are?
Yes, there are.
Yes.
Really? I was right?
How old was
Yes.
his son?
About 17.
Okay,
Well,
so
they
he
should
would have
know.
had a position.
There's two guards. There's two forwards in the center.
Hot
There
dog.
are positions in basketball.
Whoa.
Maybe his son's position is the bench, and he just didn't want to admit that.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. But,
Wow. So you were right, Bob.
You were.
wait a minute. Last week you said you agreed with me, and
Write that
today
down.
you're saying that
Write that
I'm
down.
right?
Get the calendar.
Bob was right. On
I
April.
can hardly wait to
eight-
use these at
April
some time in the
18th.
future.
All right. This is, sometimes stories take on a life of their own. And this is up in Salem, Massachusetts, where the Satanic Temple up there was bombed. So first someone said, "Oh, we left a bomb there," and I thought it was one of the members. And it turns out that, well, none of the members were there. Now it turns out it was somebody else, not associated with the Satanic Temple. And then they check the video cameras and things like that, and they say, "Hey, take a look at this car." And oh yeah, they're driving by, and they get out of the car and they throw the pipe on. They get back in the car and take off. Well, the man's from Oklahoma, and what he's got against this particular Satanic Temple, I don't know. And he allegedly left like a 14 pages of handwritten notes of why he did this. Yeah, obviously, he doesn't like them. But I'm like, so he was arrested in Oklahoma. Now, whether you agree with the Satanic Temple or not, it is considered a religion, right, Bob?
I believe so, but I think I would also go back to your former comments regarding the Middle East. It sounds like you have a gentleman who's probably, allegedly, has a significant hatred for this kind of group. To have driven, 1,500 miles, or traveled
at
1,500
least.
miles to get from Oklahoma to Massachusetts to do this, a 14-page diatribe about why he did it. You're talking about somebody who has some very serious emotional contact with that particular organization.
But now it's a hate crime,
I
right?
I would think among
On
other
top
things,
of other
yes.
things.
Right.
All right, so he's being held in Oklahoma right now, but he will be coming back to Boston to face. He's going to federal court.
Yeah.
So this is federal charges for this, and he didn't do too much damage. I guess it wasn't a very good pipe bomb. It didn't destroy the building, which I think is what his ultimate goal was, and it just did some damage to the outside that they can fix rather quickly. So.
Yikes.
But, I don't know why this particular one was targeted. There must be others around the country, even in Oklahoma.
It may be one that's
that's
more
right.
more famous, or if you
Well,
yeah.
other than the infamy that surrounds Salem, Massachusetts, because of the witch trials from so many years ago. Okay. Fascinating stuff, though, huh? Don't you think?
a note.
Oh, a notice come in. Positions of basketball: the point guard, the shooting forward, the strong forward, and the center.
Hot dog.
Got it?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, caller. I'm glad
Do you
to
want to
be-
hang on to that in case you see these people
well,
again?
this will be helpful in as much as I would know about them now. That
I don't know why the dad would say there are no positions in basketball.
I
Wow.
don't know, but
And why the son didn't say something. Sure, there are, Dad.
well, we were talking.
Yeah,
the,
right.
the son was just there as coordinating with the dad on other issues, and
Yeah.
probably didn't want to interrupt. Maybe not want to make his dad look foolish.
Well, maybe not.
But maybe his dad Golly.
There
wow.
you go. You're all set.
Well, I didn't know the positions, but at least I didn't sound completely off.
Well,
Okay.
right. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program, bringing the weather forecast being brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Today, cloudy skies, and there is a chance of showers. High temperature will be near 48. East wind 6 to 10 miles per hour, with wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy skies, low temperature around 41. Northeast wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. Friday's weather, partly sunny, high near 59. Friday night, cloudy skies, slight chance of showers mainly after midnight, low around 45. Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high temperature near 65. Sunday, sunny and a high near 61. Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with cloudy skies. We have 48 degrees. It's National Donate Life Month. Did you know you can donate a kidney or a piece of your liver while alive? Get the facts about living donations. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This portion of Coffee and brought to you by the Blackstone Valley Call and Times.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's two daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522.
Hi, I'm Kathleen LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
It's Coffee and here on ONAM and FM. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan, and we're being joined by Sue Tessier-McKenzie. Adam Brunetti is here from the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. Hi there, Adam. Nice to have him here, and we're going to talk to him in just a second. But, Bob, it's time for a first message from your law office.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to talk to you this morning about a recent Rhode Island Supreme Court case which emphasizes the importance of responding to litigation. It's the case of PennyMac Loan Services versus Roosevelt Associates. Domenico Corporation owned real estate in Coventry, Rhode Island, and pledged the property to PennyMac Loan Services, granting to PennyMac a first mortgage lien on the real estate. Thereafter, Domenico failed to pay a tax assessed by the Coventry Fire District. After notice to the landowner, the Fire District sold the real estate at a tax sale to Roosevelt Associates. When an entity acquires a tax title to real estate, the owner of the property has 1 year after the date of the sale in which to redeem the property by paying to the purchaser of the tax title the original amount plus interest. In the event the owner fails to redeem the property within that 1 year, the purchaser of the tax sale has the right to file litigation in the Superior Court seeking to foreclose the owner's right of redemption and secure a clear title to the real estate. Domenico failed to redeem, and Roosevelt filed the litigation in the Superior Court. The clerk of the Superior Court issued a citation which was served not only on Domenico, but also on PennyMac, the holder of the first mortgage lien on the property. Although the citation was served upon PennyMac, the citation did not include the address of the real estate, and PennyMac failed to file any defense to the foreclosure proceeding. Consequently, as a result, the Superior Court granted to Roosevelt title to the real estate. Thereafter, PennyMac became aware of the foreclosure action and filed an appeal, claiming that due to the lack of address, it was not properly served with notice of the litigation. PennyMac claimed that it's a California company with thousands of mortgages, and the lack of the address prevented it from having knowledge of the property which was the subject of the foreclosure action. Both the Superior Court and the Supreme Court denied this claim. They both ruled that even though the address was lacking, PennyMac did receive a meets and bounds description of the real estate, along with the names and means of contact with the attorney representing Roosevelt, and it made no attempt to contact the attorney and learn the particulars of the foreclosure. In common parlance, he who snoozes loses. PennyMac lost all of its rights to the real estate and consequently all of its ability to foreclose upon the mortgage deed. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
Did you read that in your law books? He who snoozes loses. Use that as
Right? I was curious about that.
I've heard it since.
Try using it in one of your trials, and we'll see what happens. Well, we asked Adam to come in because he's with the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative, and you're putting on an event this Saturday night, 6 to 9 p.m., the Clue Murder Mystery at the museum.
Yes, this is I believe, the third time we've done this. We've been postponing this once for about 3 years now with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we decided to take a Clue aspect to it. So I'm playing Professor Plum.
Oh, I did have that right. Okay, good.
We do have Garrett Mansieri will be involved. I forget which character he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just told I could say this. Melissa Murray will be Miss White.
Oh,
So we
okay.
are going to have a really fun time throughout the entire night. The guests can come up to all of us in costume. They chose me because I already had the purple suit from Autumn Fest. And they can get clues as to who the killer is, what the murder weapon is, and as you go throughout the Museum of Work and Culture, you'll be able to see in all the different exhibits will be maybe the murder weapon, maybe your classic game of Clue. But it should be a fun time. Sears will be on site with a cash bar. There'll be some fast food.
Food from River Falls.
Yes.
Now, last week, was it? Melissa Murray had to help us out with the 6 weapons because some of us could not remember all 6 of them.
Right.
What are the 6 weapons?
Oh, man. All right. So there's...
Wait a minute.
There's the rope,
Yeah.
lead pipe,
Yeah.
the candlestick,
Yeah.
the wrench,
Okay.
the gun, and the knife.
Yeah, that's it. That's
The
all
wrench was the one we couldn't come up with.
Okay.
Right. All right. So will it be one of the 6 characters? Will that be one of the They'll
Yes.
be the murderer, so it's not somebody else
Nope.
outside that.
Nope,
realm.
it'll be
Okay.
one of the
Okay.
6 characters, and you just got to come talk to us, and we'll have clues to give you.
Now, will you know ahead of time as one of the actors if you're the killer or not?
I'm gonna
If you can't say, you can't say.
decline to answer that at the moment.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know if you won't be revealed until the end.
You know,
of the
listen,
night.
if I'm the killer, I wouldn't be surprised. It's been a long week, so
So okay, you
Now,
get to
do they
go
have
around.
a victim somewhere? Is there a dead body lying around?
there'll be something. Honestly, I've been with the amount of shows that I've been producing right now, I haven't been able to make it to a lot of the meetings, but I've been given a bit of a script,
All right.
and I've just been told wear a purple suit and show up.
Just say this. How much is it, by the way?
It's $45 a person.
Okay.
Tickets can be bought online at dwc02895.org. There'll be limited tickets available at the door as well, but it's going to be a great night.
Okay. You've had these before in the past. How many? How well attended has it been in the past?
How have they been, Melissa? Like a decent size?
We did the first one, but it was people loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Mrs. White
Okay.
just came into the room. Is she going to be doing any of the cooking? Because if I recall correctly, Mrs. White was the cook in the original game.
Okay, so it's a little bit different. This time, Mrs. White is a whiskey baron. Baroness.
She's bringing the drink.
So I will not be doing the
cooking.
cooking. So it's set in the 20s.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like Gatsby era type. And I just wanted to add that there will be food included from River Falls, and Ciro's will be there to offer cocktails. That is all.
Okay, thanks you, Mrs. White. Very good. Now, if you think you go to this event and you think you know who the murderer is and what was used and what room, Do you just write it down on a?
I believe
official
that. I
piece of
believe that's how we're
paper?
doing it. I haven't even been able to make it to the last two that we
Okay.
did. But that, as far as I know, that's how we do it. And then at the end of the night, the murderer will be revealed with
Okay.
the murder weapon.
Do you know what the winner? If you're correct, what do they receive something?
I would think so. I'm
Other than a hearty
I haven't made
congratulations.
any of the planning meetings for this event. I just know they sent Professor Plum in here to hype it up.
All right, but they will win something.
They'll, as far as I know, yes.
Okay. Now, what if one of the real detectives from the Woonsocket Police Department show up? Are they excluded?
Well, listen, I remember last time Garrett was led away in handcuffs, so I'm sure one of us will meet the same fate.
That's going to be real great for his next campaign.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he'll love it.
Wow.
Yeah, make sure you get a good shot of him being let out. That would be funny. Now, will it tell you? I guess you'll be telling people, why you disliked or liked
Yes.
the current murder victim.
Yes.
And what went
Yep,
on with
we
it.
each
Okay.
have our own little background that's been written for us.
Yeah.
It's based in the 1920s, a little bit of Woonsocket history thrown in there as well.
Who wrote all this?
It's a mixture of Garrett, mixture of the event
Yeah.
committee.
All right.
But Garrett, as the event chair, has been putting a lot of work into this, and I'm really excited to see this come together.
This takes a lot of work.
Takes a lot of work.
So, and
How are
a lot of
ticket
fun.
sales going?
They're going really well. We're at, I think we're around like 60 tickets sold right now. So we have a few left that we to sell, but it's looking
Right,
good.
you got to max it out somewhere.
Exactly.
Because of the space and
Mm-hmm.
allowing
Yep.
people to talk.
Correct.
The people.
Oh, and Melissa has more information that I didn't get to
you
give.
do not.
I have a little bit of information. So all of the folks who have the correct answer are put in a raffle, and one of the correct answers is chosen for a $50 gift card to River Falls Restaurant.
Oh, there you go.
And when is this coming up again?
This is this Saturday, April 20th from 6 to 9 at the Museum of Work and Culture.
And if you haven't bought a ticket yet, how do you get in?
DWC02895.org. It's right on our homepage. You can buy the tickets.
Sorry, it's online, Bob. It's a little outside your realm, but
Oh, yeah.
Bob can't go.
but you can always ask your secretary to do it for you.
Yes.
She'll know what to do.
And if you want to dress up in 1920s era dress, that's encouraged but not required for attendance.
All right.
Don't say that that's what I wore to school when I was a kid. Don't say.
And so is it? It's a cash bar.
Cash bar.
With zeros. Okay. So the
Wait a minute,
$45.
there was
That
prohibition in the 20s. How do you get liquor in there?
it's a speakeasy, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Listen, we have a whiskey baroness. We have connections.
Oh, okay.
So the $45 does that include the meal?
That includes the meal, yes.
Okay, so but cash bar, but the $45 gets you the meal and the fun as you're roaming around trying to figure
Yes.
out who did this and
I
people.
imagine you have different locations, so it's going to be the classroom instead of the ballroom or
Correct.
something like that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so you
what are
might.
what are the locations going to be?
That's a great question. I'm going to have to
Melissa, what
find
are the
out.
You'll have to go.
locations?
Bob.
Yeah, Melissa, SOS.
So if you think you got good detective skills, if you like watching the murder mysteries and you
Oh, I hear
think you can
footsteps.
figure it out, Melissa's got all the information for
The
us
locations.
of the rooms.
Like,
Oh, it's just different locations within the
Like the front porch and the living room?
right, like
Okay.
yeah, like
Just
the
the classroom and
the
all those.
classroom, the living room, and the
We're not going to have the billiard room and the conservatory and stuff like that.
no,
that's
no,
on the
no,
door?
no. It won't be
Okay.
your
Right.
classic locations. It'll be your classic characters with a 20s twist, with your typical
Murder
weapons.
Yep. Okay.
You know,
The
just
Adventures of Sex.
and then with like a little Woonsocket history thrown in. We just kind of like classic Clue, but making it 20s Prohibition era in Woonsocket in the museum. It's a private event, so.
Now, how's the whiskey baroness going to be dressed? Give us a
Oh, I see. That's the big reveal.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Some of us have been putting our costumes on Facebook.
Some,
I just put mine
some,
up last night.
some
I
of
saw
us
it, I
want
saw
to
it.
make sure that we're period accurate. So
Some of us want to make a grand appearance.
Entrance. That's right.
And that would be the whiskey baroness.
Right.
might involve gloves and a fur coat, but
Whoa.
So if you go and there's a wrench in the
If you
classroom,
need
that
a
might
code,
give
I
you
got one.
that might give you a good clue. What's the wrench doing in the classroom? All right. Well, Adam, I know you got to get going because you got to get over to the high school and set up lights. What's the show? What's the show?
We got Beauty and the Beast next weekend at Woonsocket High
cool.
School. So I have a 2-story set. I have about 100 lights. I'm about to go spend the next 12 hours hanging.
Someone's got to do it. So.
Well, yeah. So that's why I have about 1 active brain cell that I can put towards the murder mystery.
All right. Well, that'll be a little downtime for you on
Yes.
Saturday night. All right, Adam. Thanks for coming
All
in.
right. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. And Bob, time for a second message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. As I was driving to the radio station last week, my car was in traffic behind a school bus. And this common event reminded me of the good work done by another lawyer, a close friend of mine, William Savastano. Bill had an office in North Smithfield across from Fogarty Hospital. He retired from practice just a few years ago. During his more than 50 years in practice, Bill had more than 24 cases in the Rhode Island Supreme Court, which is a prodigious amount of cases for any lawyer. Supreme Court cases require a great deal of legal research and writing, and frequently involve a creative interpretation of existing laws and precedents, and Bill was a master at that kind of creative thinking. The reason the school bus reminded me of Bill's work was because of a case which Bill developed more than 40 years ago. Back in the 1980s, when parochial schools were more prevalent, it was the practice of almost all school districts in the state of Rhode Island to restrict the schools to which they would transport students to schools located within the boundaries of a particular school district, and transportation services were limited to the boundary lines of a municipality. That didn't seem right to Bill's client, a parent who was paying taxes in Cumberland and whose taxes included transportation of children living in Cumberland to schools within Cumberland, but not to Mount St. Charles Academy, located in Woonsocket. The child of the client attended Mount St. Charles. Bill took the case. Section 1621.1-2 of the General Laws of Rhode Island provided that a pupil attending a school including a non-public and non-profit school established to serve residents in a specific area within the state shall be provided with bus transportation to the school within the region in which the pupil resides, which statutes the school committee argued limited the area of transportation to the community in which the student lived. Bill's argument and legal research, however, convinced the Supreme Court that the Articles of Association of Mount St. Charles Academy verified that Mount St. Charles was a nonprofit school established to serve residents in a specific area within the state, and that Cumberland was within the region for which the transportation must be provided. It may not sound like an exciting case, but for all those parents who would otherwise have to provide personal transportation of their children across municipal boundaries to attend school, it was very important. It proves that the work of attorneys can be beneficial to the public at large. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
Very good, Bob. And more of the Coffee and Program coming your way. Stay tuned. One of our gold medal winners in the best of the Blackstone Valley is Marshan Environmental of Blackstone. They won gold in the category of septic service. They also won silver in the junk removal dumpsters category. For information, visit marshanenvironmental.com, one of the best of the Blackstone Valley. The third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair will be happening on Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to noontime. The fair will be held at the Woonsocket Elks Hall, 380 Social Street, Woonsocket. It's free admission to visit the over 20 vendors that will be in attendance. Some of the vendors in attendance will be Attorney Bob Lauder, Blue Cross Blue Shield, CCA LIHEAP, Horizon Healthcare, and Meals on Wheels. Come by and visit with Manny and Virginia Brandow and Gary Smith and the Do You Remember crew. We hope to see you at the third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair, Saturday, April 20th at the Elks Hall on Social Street from 9 to noon. It's Coffee In on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Sue Tester McKenzie, Bob Lauder, and Bob will be at the ON Radio Senior Resource Fair this coming Saturday.
Thank you for inviting me.
You can stop on in and question Bob on anything. And
No sports questions.
please, maybe someone's going to ask you what are the positions on a
I
basketball
have the
court.
note.
Bring that
keep the
with
note
you.
with me.
in
And I also
case
have
someone
those
asks.
questions I'm supposed to ask at Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So they're
The defense is
and
lacking.
if, yeah.
You
and
just
if you
don't start talking about basketball at Thanksgiving dinner.
I'll be in the room, Bob. So if you're having trouble, just call out for me. I'll try to come over and help. Okay.
Great, good.
So
It's nice to have experts on call.
So weird thing going on down in Barrington. The third dead dog
Oh, I can't even.
has washed up on Barrington Beach.
I can't even.
And they've had 3 over the last couple of months. And now they're like, what's going on?
That's unusual.
It is very, very bizarre. According to the news report we got, this third dog has been dead for some time.
I'm
And so they're going
curious
to
if
do
they're.
a dog autopsy on it now to figure out how it died.
Well, yeah, you got to do an autopsy. Okay, just me. You know, I would do very well at Clue. Just saying.
Okay.
But you know how you have those scientists that determine where the waves are coming from, so on and so forth, because there has been flooding in different parts of the country that who knows, you know what I mean? Because that's just bizarre. But where would the water be coming from? Because there are ways to determine that
Well, I'm sure,
scientifically.
I'm sure they will. So it's coming
I'm
from this
just-
general
yeah.
area. So
You got to figure it out because that's unacceptable.
it is. And it's like, it's just. So those are the problems they have in Barrington, where the dead dogs are coming from. This is another bizarre story. It brings you back to high school, maybe middle school, maybe even elementary school. It's a he said, she said kind of thing, but it involves the New England Patriots. I don't know if you heard this story. You don't have to know anything about football, Bob, but a report indicates that New England Patriots owner Bob Kraft warned the owner of the Atlanta Falcons about hiring Bill Belichick. ESPN is reporting, so I mean it goes up to up the ladder here. ESPN reports claim that Kraft spoke to the Atlanta owner Arthur Blank on the phone twice during the hiring process, warning him not to trust Belichick. And the Patriots coach was not hired by the Falcons or any other team during this offseason. He's going into broadcasting, by the way. Now, a spokesperson for the Patriots denies the whole thing, denies that Kraft said anything negative about Belichick, and said Kraft actually advocated for him to get the job in Atlanta.
I would wonder about the source
now
of the
it's just-
original
Yeah.
allegations. You know,
Well, reporters, as you may know, Sue, our sources want to remain anonymous.
well, I think that in doing that, they'd also want to verify whether or not it was a reasonable source. If it was someone within the actual administration of the Atlanta Falcons who said, I was present when this conversation was taking place, I heard
Well,
it
they
on the
say-
speakerphone,
well,
then
maybe.
that's one thing. But if they're saying it was the secretary whose husband washes the car for the
Yeah.
and he heard this rumor through another source,
Yeah.
you're probably not as likely to be
Well-
considering it verifiable.
I don't know ESPN's sources, and I don't think they'd go with the latter, what you said. They probably went with someone probably from inside the Atlanta Falcons organization.
I would think, though, that Mr. Belichick's personality would be pretty well revealed through anyone watching the films of the various football games. And
Yeah, why
Any-
would somebody have to either refer or
yeah,
you're speaking for yourself every single time you're playing a game for
Yeah.
all these years? Like, I don't understand the initial process.
can I ask you a question, sports related, but not with the football team?
All right.
That was the announcement that a basketball player for the NFL has
No.
no,
There's,
okay.
there's a basketball player for the NBA.
NBA, okay, who has been barred from playing for the
Yes.
rest of his life because he was allegedly involved in sports betting.
Yes.
And on the news report on television, it said that the amount being bet was like $22,000. And I was wondering, why does a guy who is earning millions of dollars become involved in sports betting for what to him is probably bus fare?
Well, what he's done is he gave information to a sports bettor about his health
All right.
and whether or not how well he would play that night, and so the bettor took that information and made a lot of money.
And the
It's like
allegation was
insider,
also
it's like
that
insider trading, Bob.
also the
Yeah.
allegation was that he took himself out of the game early on so that he wouldn't play at all, and therefore his absence would probably impact how his own team was performing. And that sounds sort
Yeah.
of like in the old days when boxers would,
Take a dive.
take a dive for, yeah. And
Well,
why do you get involved in this kind of stuff if you're earning that kind of
I know.
money?
The NBA is banning a Toronto Raptors player for violating the league's gambling rules. The league said an investigation found Jonte Porter disclosed confidential information to sports bettors and also limited his own participation in games, like you just said, for betting purposes. Oh, my ankle hurts. I got to sit out. In one instance, a bettor associated with Porter placed an $80,000 bet on Porter underperforming in the Raptors game on March 20th. Porter played just 3 minutes in that game while claiming he felt ill. Now, you can go and bet on that. How many minutes is so-and-so going to play? You can do that with not baseball. You can do that in hockey and in basketball. The league also found Porter placed more than a dozen bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account, which is also against NBA rules. You can't bet on the NBA if you're playing in the NBA, if you're an NBA employee, and they are.
Wasn't that what kept Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he bet on baseball games,
Okay.
his own games. So, yes.
It's just surprising that you'd have that kind of a addiction to betting when you're earning more money than most of us can ever imagine.
Well, it's like most, criminals take a look at it. I'm not going to get caught. I'm smarter than your average bear. And if I shuttle money to Sue, and I'm in the NBA, Sue go, I'm only going to play half the game, so only, bet that I'm going to be on the lower, and then we'll split the money that you win. That's completely illegal.
And you're going to bet that I don't remember the 5 guys on the
That's why I gave
basketball
you the
team
piece-
without the card.
That's why I gave you a piece of paper, yeah.
Okay.
So, someone's having a bad day in Nebraska. A Nebraska man is accused of shooting himself in the hand after he woke up from a bad dream. Police say the 68-year-old, then he woke up and thought someone was breaking into his home. And they say he shot his gun and fired without realizing his hand was in the line of fire.
Oh, jeez.
Can you picture it? Let me get me up here. Here we go. Bang. Okay, so he was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but he is facing a charge of unlawful discharge of a gun.
Whoa.
Is that a misdemeanor?
Yes, it probably is. There's also a very tragic video on the news feeds in the last couple of days about an elderly man, 81 years old, who was apparently the victim of a scam.
Oh, shot the Uber driver?
Shot and kills the Uber driver. And
I heard about this yesterday.
yeah, I would wonder what's going to happen in that case. I would think that it is as I could see it, first-degree murder.
Not
he
second?
He intended to harm this individual. In the videos, he shoots the individual in the leg, and as she's backing away further, then he shoots her twice.
He keeps shooting.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And
okay.
so I would think it's probably going to be intentional first-degree murder, but his age may have a factor on what happens in the case. But it's
I
still
think
pretty
so.
tragic to see anybody get shot under those kind of circumstances and wonder about the training that the shooter had in actually handling the weapon.
In dealing with his age, he probably didn't realize how Uber works and how they're a third party that's just coming to get you and bring you somewhere. They're
But
not part of the scam.
In the videos, it appears that the Uber driver is backing away from him
Yeah.
and is not posing a threat to him. He's following the Uber driver and then makes the fatal shots.
Wow.
So I missed this story. So the guy was scammed by...
The guy was scammed apparently by someone who called his house and told him that under certain circumstances he had to get a large sum of money and leave it outside the house. And then they called the Uber company and had a driver go to allegedly pick it up. So the driver who's works for Uber has no idea that
What's
she's
going on,
involved in
yeah.
this. She just knows she had the call to pick up the parcel, and the owner of the house who'd put the parcel on his front steps is waiting because he believes that the Uber driver has
Part of the scam. So they're I'm gonna shoot you. Pretty scary.
Wow.
So yeah.
So instead of just putting, I don't know, an empty bag there and getting video of this person and then maybe getting to the bottom of it, you do that. Yeah, no.
How about calling the police and saying,
Well,
I think
that
I'm
too.
being scammed and actually someone's
I'm
coming
being
to my
scammed.
house
Somebody's
to pick
coming
something
over
up.
to get this money.
Yeah. So why don't you be here too? And they could have cleared the whole thing up.
But
Hey,
then
I'm just
again,
the Uber
it also
driver.
has to do with the age of the individual, not
Yes.
thinking in that respect.
All right. So Pepsi Company they're recalling over 200 cases of Schweppes sugar-free ginger ale. Any idea why?
Because there's sugar in it.
There's sugar in it. Is exactly right. It's mislabeled. The ginger ale was packaged in 24-count cases of cans and shipped to Pennsylvania, Maryland, and West Virginia. According to Pepsi, they said they began the recall in March after internal investigation found out this big oops, that there is sugar in the sugar-free ginger ale. Not too
Okay.
funny if you're the diabetic drinking the ginger
Well, that's
ale.
what I was just
Oh my
going to
God,
say.
this
That's
is-
where it becomes an issue. It's not
That's-
somebody that's on a diet trying to cut their sugar. It's for diabetics
Yep.
being put in that spot.
And I'm sure the people drinking it, boy, this sugar-free ginger ale tastes great.
And I like ginger ale. I
Yeah.
like, I'm more of a diet
Yeah.
beverage drinker anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like the sugar free. But
Oh, well, that's the... And I don't know how you can tell, you go to the store and it says sugar-free on it. This is,
You
and that's
pick
what,
it
so you
up.
pick it up. Oh, I'm good to go.
wow.
How are you supposed to know it's been mislabeled
Yeah, right.
by the manufacturer? So, all right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much. Thanks to Anna Brunetti, who joined us a little earlier, talking about the clue at the murder mystery at the museum this coming Saturday night. Sue Tasser McKenzie, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the week.
All righty, and Bob Lauder.
Thank you for inviting me. Hope to be with you next week.
All right, we'll see you Saturday at the Senior Resource Fair, right?
Yes.
You do not have to wear a suit. You can if
will.
you want to, but that's up to you.
You can
We'll see.
wear.
We'll see.
You don't need to be suited, but you
Yes.
can be professional without.
Yes.
Like, instead of a sweatshirt, wear a nice. Yeah. You don't need to have a suit.
Talk it over with your wife.
She'll give me good advice.
All right. This is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do your remembers at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
A story on Channel 10's website, turnto10.com.